Well, hey there, native plant enthusiasts. It's Santino, Education Coordinator for Bowman's Wildflower Preserve, coming at you with our next Nature Note. Today's video was inspired by a recent program we had here at the Preserve. We had a local herbalist named Amanda Crook, who is the owner and operator of Locust Light Farms, and she talked to us all about our medicinal native plants, the ones specifically that we found down in the meadow. And that got me thinking about, why do plants make medicine? So I wanted to share some of my recent findings with you today. But before we do that, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who've taken the opportunities to subscribe to the channel. It really does go a long way to help the Preserve and its mission, being an educational resource and a destination that inspires conservation action. So if you haven't yet, take a brief second, pause the video, hit the subscribe button, like the video, share it with a friend who you might think would enjoy this, and yeah. With all that said, let's move on to today's video. So as we start off this video, I should say that I am in no way a medical provider and medicine expert, nor do I play one on TV. So everything you hear through this video is purely for educational, purely for just informational purposes and not in any way to be treated as medical advice. If you're looking to jump into herbal remedies or that kind of thing, we encourage each and every one of you to consult with your own personal healthcare provider to find out what kind of care is right for you. Okay, to start this all off, after attending the program, it got me thinking, why? Why on earth do plants make medicine? What benefit does that serve the plant to make a medicinal compound? And the reality is the plants aren't trying to make medicine whatsoever, right? Plants, just like every other living organism on the planet, are trying to do two main things. Of course, that is survive and reproduce. For plants, it's much more difficult as they can't move around and avoid predation in that way. They don't have legs, right? So they need to come up with other defenses to protect them from predators, to help them survive, and also to spread their seed, metaphorically and literally. So how do they do that? They've developed or evolved these different chemicals to help them with that. When you're a plant all the way. Survival is tough. When in one place you must stay. When you're a plant, you must do what you can. And chemical production's just part of the plan. All right, dear friends, sorry, not sorry for that quick aside. I couldn't help myself. That popped in my head as I was writing for the script for the video and thought I had to shoehorn it in somewhere. So yeah, like I was saying, all plants produce these phytochemicals in order to help them survive and reproduce, and we've merely stumbled across the fact that they can help us medicinally. For example, one of the things you might be very familiar with are alkaloids. Those have evolved as a response to the plant for being eaten. These alkaloids make them very distasteful to predators. They're bitter tasting compounds, and they come in a whole bunch of different strengths. The tulip tree, for example, our native tulip poplar, produces an alkaloid that protects it from parasitic mushrooms. Other common alkaloids that you might be familiar with include caffeine, as well as nicotine and quinine. So glycosides are another phytochemical that you might be familiar with. We've discussed glycosides previously on the channel. More specifically, the plant I'm referring to for that would be wild senna. And the glycosides are a laxative chemical. So they help in the dispersal of the plant's seeds once they've been eaten by a predator. So this is an evolutionary response to help the plant spread, as we said, survive and reproduce. Polyphenols are another group of phytochemicals. These include things like phytoestrogens and tannins. Tannins you might be familiar with when we talk about things like walnuts. They give that bitter taste. For the plants, these serve as defense against disease and predation. Humans have been using them, however, medicinally for centuries. Terpenes are another very large class of chemicals, super highly aromatic, commonly found in resinous plants like the conifers. The strong smells of them serve as a repellent to herbivores, and humans have been using them for essential oils and perfumes. Some that you might be familiar with is the thymol, which is derived from thyme, and that has been used as an antiseptic and worm medicine. So using plants for medicinal purposes dates back hundreds of years, and we've got a long clinical history of using these plants medicinally. As of 2012, over 3,500 species of plants have been screened for medicinal use, and testing is still going on. The first commercial fully natural product introduced for therapeutic purposes was morphine, and that compound was derived from the opium poppy, marketed by Merck in 1826, and the first semi-synthetic pure drug was aspirin, and that was based off of a natural product, salicylin, isolated from Salix alba, which you might recognize as the willow, and that was introduced by Bayer in 1899. So long before plants were commercialized, however, they're being used to treat a variety of ailments. Surprisingly, much of what we know started with the works of the ancient Greeks, Egyptians, and others around the Mediterranean and Fertile Crescent. And of course, this makes sense as that's where our human ancestors came from. Some other great native plants that we talk about for medicinal purposes include senna and black birch. Senna we talked about earlier in the video with Senecott, and black birch is methyl salicylate. I did another short video discussing that in wintergreen in July. Check out that video, and that is the flavor of Pepto-Bismol, so it was used to help with stomach ailments. In addition, things like ginger and black cohosh have been used medicinally. Alright friends, I know I breezed through a whole bunch of native plants and their medicinal qualities or what they were used for, and the compounds that helped with that, but again, the point of the video was not to highlight all these individual plants, but just to answer the question of why. Why were plants used for medicine? Why do plants make medicine? How do we stumble across that? And yeah, just a quick overview of the history. If a plant does have some significant medical history behind it, I'll be sure to highlight that in an upcoming video of the plant. One that's coming to my mind is this great one behind me, the Joe Pye weed, and I'll talk about that in a future video. All right. So in recent years, this whole using plants and medicine has taken a whole new twist. And this is as recently as like 2020s and on, and this is a process known as farming, P-H-A-R-M-I-N-G, farming. Think pharmacological, in any event. So what this process is through genetic manipulation of the plants, turning certain markers in the DNA on and off, allowing the plant to produce certain proteins as they grow. They're considering, creating and growing vaccines in plants. Traditional vaccine production involves animal use, and so the cool thing is using the plants as a twist. It allows them to grow those vaccines at a much faster rate, and one of the things they worry less about is the transference of disease from organism to another, as plants and humans are a little bit different. However, the major concern is the escape of these farmed plants into the local ecosystems and causing disruption. So there are some negative drawbacks to this, and that's kind of one of the regulatory things that they're looking at very, very heavily. So, but science is, I think it's cool and an interesting twist to using plants for medicine. All right, friends, well, that was just a really quick overview of us using plants for medicinal purposes and a brief history of them. If you want more content like this and want to know more about our native plants, let me know in the comment section below. Like I said, I was just wanted to figure out why and what these chemicals were and why they were being produced, and so I hope that you enjoyed that brief, quick share of my research and what's upcoming in terms of farming. Like I said at the start, if you enjoyed this content, want more of it, please be sure to like it, hit the subscribe button, help us reach our 750 goal, share it with a friend who you might think would enjoy this, and until next time, my friends, keep on experiencing what's natural and learn what's native. Take care.